Hello everybody. Today we will be going over Chapter 7 in Java, arrays, both one-dimensional and two-dimensional, and array lists. One-dimensional arrays. Arrays are data structures used to implement a list object containing elements of the same type. So this could be integers, doubles, strings, it depends what you want to make. Since arrays are objects, the phrase new must be used when creating it, which I will show later in a code example. Arrays can be created either with set values or with no values, which I will also show later in my example code. Arrays are objects, so this data within can be accessed and changed. When referring to the length of an object, you're going to use a dot length, and the first element is considered 1, and it goes on from there. So if you have 3 elements inside, the length is 3. However, when you want to reference something inside the array, it starts off at 0. So if you have 3 elements, it goes 0, 1, 2 for the index values. Traversing an array. In order to access or mutate elements within an array, so this could be replacing or removing them, you must use a for loop which checks every index of that array. You may use a for each loop to access it, but if you would like to change it, you must use the for each loop alongside a mutator method. Otherwise, it will not change the array. Two-dimensional arrays. A two-dimensional array is a matrix of arrays consisting of rows and columns. A two-dimensional array can be considered as a series of rows which will form a matrix. After creating a 2D array X, for example, x.length returns the number of rows, where x bracket I returns the number of columns in row index I. A two-dimensional array is also an object and can be modified. Array lists. Array lists are another option for storing information in the form of a list. Array lists must be imported, however, because they are built into Java. Array lists do not have a set size like arrays do, so they can shrink or they can grow however the programmer intends. They do not need for loops to be printed, and they are measured as size rather than as length. To create an array list, you use ArrayList, and then the type, and then the name which you would like to refer to it as, and then new ArrayList type, and then parentheses. Some types, for example, are integer, string, or double. Auto-boxing and auto-unboxing. Auto-boxing is the automatic wrapping of primitive types within their wrapper class. Auto-unboxing is the automatic conversion of a wrapper class to its corresponding primitive types. Another Java utility is the iterator. The iterator is an object with the sole purpose of traversing a collection one element at a time. These must also be imported as they are a part of Java. Okay, here is the example code that we will be looking at today. First, we will start off with one-dimensional arrays. So here I just printed one-dimensional arrays so I know it when I go to my console. Example 1, just creating an array. So this array, we'll call it array1, has 3 elements 0, 1, 2 in it. If you wanted to print this, you could use this enhanced for loop, which will then print x plus, and then obviously a space. So if we look at the console window, the first thing is 0, 1, 2, and that matches what we wanted to print. Example 2, we made an array. This is empty. We just assigned the number of values that would be put in it. If you ever need to pause the video at any point and analyze it, you may do so. This creates a one-dimensional array with a length of 3, which means indexes 0, 1, and 2. When you print this, it'll all have 0 since you never assigned values. Here, we found the length using this code, and then we made a for loop where we assigned numerical values. So the index 0, 1, 2 would be assigned said index. So that would print our last array. Moving on from one-dimensional arrays, we'll move on to two-dimensional arrays. Here, we created an empty two-dimensional array with 3 rows, 4 columns. I titled it two-dimensional array just so I know it would be in the console window. And to print it, you need 2 for loops. The first one for rows, the second one for columns. So you take the length, which gives you the number of rows, and then you take the length of each row, which gives you the number of columns in said row. So this should print zeros in the form of an array, which it does right here. Now, if you were to want to assign values to this, you would use the same idea, just assigning values instead of printing it. So this is similar to the one-dimensional array where we used 1 bracket, now you just use 2. Moving on to ArrayLists. You must import it before you start using them because it's a utility in Java. So here I printed ArrayList to see it in the console window. I made an empty ArrayList with the name X. Now you could assign values at this point, but here I just made an empty one to show how to add or remove. So here I did the add method where I added 4, which creates new index 0 and inputs 4. x.add6 creates new index 1 and inputs 6. x.add8, new index 2, inputs 8. If you print it, it'll print it like this. Now after I printed that, I did x.remove1. Removing 1 does not remove the number 1, it removes the value in the index 1. So in this case, it would be 6. So you should print 4, 8. Here's the whole code if you would like to look at it. And that's our example code.